Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea of Monsters, which is the second book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians pentalogy written by Rick Riordan. So the story picks up with our main character of Percy Jackson, who is the title character and the main protagonist that we follow throughout these adventures. He's the son of Poseidon, and we see the story unfold from Percy's perspective or his point of view, and the stories themselves are all written in the first person, and they're almost as if they are diaries or journal entries from Percy, or it also could be that Percy is narrating or telling the story to a group of his friends at Camp Half-Blood. We also pick up with Percy's friend Annabeth Chase, who is the daughter of Athena. We also get reintroduced to the character of Clarisse LaRue, who is the daughter of Ares. And we also have the introduction of a new character in the form of Tyson, who is a Cyclops. And we find out later on that he himself is also a son of Poseidon and is Percy's half-brother. So the story picks up about a year after the events of the Lightning Thief, with Percy seemingly about to go back to Camp Half-Blood after his final day of exams. Unfortunately, his school is attacked by giants, and right away there's some really great action and battle scenes with Percy, Annabeth and Tyson all going up against them. You quickly find out that Tyson is a bit shy and reserved and a bit slow, and he's actually viewed as, forgive my saying this and it's not meant to be offensive, but he's actually referred to by some of the school bullies as being a retard because he's a bit slow to pick up on things. But you also quickly find out that he's actually a really cool character, and he's actually a really great guy to have your back in a fight, because he is not impervious to harm, but he's actually pretty formidable and he can easily hold his own in a fight, particularly even if it's just basic hand-to-hand combat. So we then have the characters getting back to Camp Half-Blood, whereby we discover it's seemingly under attack by two bronze bulls. Again, there's more really great action scenes right off the bat with our characters going up against the bulls. And we then find out that the Camp Half-Blood is actually dying, and the protected borders around the camp are actually weakening, as well as Thalia's tree is also poisoned, and she herself is seemingly dying as well. Thalia, Grace, turns out, is the daughter of Zeus, who was killed by a group of Cyclops 5 years ago when she, Luke, Castellan, Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood were all making their way to Camp Half-Blood, and there's actually some callbacks to the mentionings of Thalia's tree and Thalia's journey. Did I just say Thalia? I meant Thalia. Talia al Ghul and Thalia, similar name. Sorry if I get the characters confused. Anyway, so there's some references back to the events of the mentioning of their journey as a group in the pages of the Lightning Thief. And we quickly discover that only one item in the world is able to save Thalia and the camp, and that is the Golden Fleece, which there's more really cool ties to the various Greek myths and its heroes within the pages of Percy Jackson on the part of Rick Riordan, who not only incorporates the myths into the story but also manages to put his own unique, really fun spin on things. There's a nod to Jason and the Argonauts and the Golden Fleece. There's nods to Odysseus in the pages of Homer's The Odyssey, sailing around the island of the Sirens. There's his men and Odysseus himself taking refuge on Circe's island, who is the sorceress in the pages of the Odyssey. There's also one of the most famous myths with Odysseus, where he and his men battle with Polyphemus, who is the Cyclops, who comes to know Odysseus under the alias or the nickname of Nobody, and it's actually the myth of Polyphemus being bested by Nobody, who in the pages of the Odyssey is in fact Odysseus, who then proceeds to blind the Cyclops before making his escape, and seemingly later on, or much later towards the end, his return to his home and kingdom of Ithaca. We also see a different side to Clarisse in the pages of The Sea of Monsters, whereas before she's a bit of a bully. She's not very nice to the new campers. She's particularly not very nice to Percy and Annabeth, and also Tyson as well. We also see that she's got a bit of a real chip on her shoulder in regards to being viewed as less than her brothers because she's the daughter of Ares, and often Ares is perceived to favour his sons a lot more than his daughters. In fact, there's a really great scene where she's having a conversation with her father on board the ship CSS Birmingham, which Ares loans Clarice to complete her quest to find the Golden Fleece, but we discover that Ares views Clarice as pathetic. He talks down to her, he makes her feel worthless. He in fact even goes to strike Clarice when they're in midway conversation, which is just a douchebag thing to do, and you don't hit women. It's just one of those things. So you have even more reason to dislike the character of Ares, even more so than you did if you read the character in the pages of The Lightning Thief. There's also some really great laugh-out-loud humour between Grover Underwood and Polyphemus over his taking ages to finish knitting his wedding dress. I'm not kidding. You'll have to pick this up and read it for yourselves if you want to know what I'm talking about. And there's also a potential nod to Odysseus' wife Penelope unravelling her own wedding dress in order to delay remarrying, the many suitors that come to visit her in the kingdom of Ithaca during the time in which Odysseus is making his way back to his kingdom and his home and his wife and his son in the pages of the Odyssey. I may be reading too much into it, but there's also could be a potential nod to that particular story in the pages of the Odyssey in the form of Grover unravelling his own wedding dress. And there's also some really great humour when Grover actually getting into an argument with Polyphemus over how to be cooked, which again I found reminiscent of the scene with Bilbo Baggins and the three trolls in his argument over how to cook the company of dwarves in the pages of The Hobbit, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have to say my most favourite moment two favourite moments, because it's kind of a tie, because they're both scenes that take place one after the other, is actually the reveal of a select group of Circe's pets, which actually turns out to be Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard, who in the Percy Jackson universe is a son of Ares, as well as we get introduced to his pirate crew as well. My other favourite moment, tied with the reveal of Blackbeard, is in fact Percy and Annabeth seemingly stealing the Queen Anne's Revenge, which, as we all know, is Blackbeard's ship. And we actually have Percy sailing the Queen Anne's Revenge, commanding the entire ship, coming into his own even more with his demigod abilities, especially when he commands, not just the seahorses, which Tyson manages to convince Poseidon to provide them aid to get to the Sea of Monsters and seemingly to retrieve the Golden Fleece, but also when Percy is commanding the entirety of the Queen Anne's Revenge, and he leaps off the deck when Annabeth tries to sail to the island of the Sirens, where they reveal her fatal flaw, which is hubris. And it also showcases the friendship and just how much Percy actually cares about Annabeth. You have Luke Castellan returning, who is the big bad in terms of the renegade half-bloods. He's still on his quest to resurrect his master, which is the character of Kronos, who is the king of the Titans, and he's still determined to resurrect Kronos, but his motivations for doing so are more understandable in the pages of the Sea of Monsters, because he feels abandoned by his father Hermes due to the fact that the gods can only influence their children indirectly, and he's only met his father seemingly once in his life, so he feels abandoned, he feels unwanted, he feels as if his father just isn't interested in him whatsoever and can't be bothered to build a relationship with him. So he wants to bring Olympus tumbling down and rebuild the world in the image of this generation of demigods or half-bloods or heroes in the pages of Rick Riordan. Once again, this particular adventure is another epic, non-stop, grand adventure with great action scenes, really cool ties to Greek mythology, while also providing its own unique spin on the various myths that are referenced and called back to in the pages of the Sea of Monsters. There's more just great character development and character relationship development, particularly between our two main characters in the quartet of our band of heroes, which is Percy and Annabeth. But there's also really great development for Clarice, LaRue, and also Tyson as well, who we come to see different sides to the two of them, and we come to respect the two of them in the pages of this story. Again, it's just another great, grand, epic adventure. It's a really fast-paced read, as was with The Lightning Thief, but you get the sense that this is another, just really fun story with these characters who you really come to become really invested and engrossed in, and it's a really enthralling and engaging read, and I cannot wait to share my thoughts with you guys on the rest of the series. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. As always, hope you all enjoyed the video. By all means, please feel free to leave a comment below in the comment section. Rate the video up or down, like or dislike, but if you dislike it, as always, please feel free to tell me why in the comments, and I'll take any feedback or recommendations for improvements into consideration. And if it's your first time viewing one of my videos and you'd like to see more content from me in the foreseeable future, by all means, please feel free to subscribe. And until next time, this is Gambit896 signing off, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.